Welcome to Seattle College's international programs and our show Conversations With, where we talk to people that help you understand how you too can be an international student in the United States and why Seattle Colleges should be your first choice. We'll talk to students and staff and agents and government folks, all kinds of people about what you can expect when you're getting ready to apply or travel here, what you'll experience while you're with us, and how it can all lead to an amazing life. Don't forget to check out the Seattle College's International Programs website at intl.seattlecolleges.edu, where you can find a treasure trove of information about the school, the programs here, and best of all, fill out and submit your application. Again, that's intl.seattlecolleges.edu. Hey everybody, welcome back to Seattle College's Conversations With. We're here in beautiful Seattle, Washington. I'm your host, Evan Franulovich. I am very excited because this is the first, most unique interview I will have done in the 4 seasons that I've been here. Very excited to welcome this young man who was the speaker at our recent graduation for Seattle Central College, one of our campuses. I am very excited to welcome you to our show from the great country of Cameroon. Cameroon, welcome.
Thank you. My name is Olando. My last name is Ngoh, N-G-O-H. I'm from Cameroon, and I'm completely deaf. Previously, I was a student at a deaf school named the Bush School for the Deaf, and then I was also a teacher of the deaf at that school.
Very good. We are going to learn more about your background in just a moment. Before we get too far into the interview, please tell the audience who you are, your name, where you're from exactly, your city and your country, your major, and how long you've been in the United States.
So I lived in Cameroon in a city called Bua, and that's where I grew up. That's where I was born. I studied at the School for the Deaf. I finished high school there.
So what did you study here at Seattle Central? What was your major here?
Well, when I first moved to America, I actually moved to Port Angeles.
Oh.
So I went to Pacific College, and I was there for about 9 months. Then after that, I moved here to Seattle, and then I went to Seattle Central. So the reason is that I was really alone. I was the only deaf person. I didn't really find good friendships in the Port Angeles area. I felt like I was just all alone. And when I lived with my host mother there, she, welcomed me to the house. She told me kind of, what was going on, told me about the food that was available, gave me a kind of a list of like what to feed the dogs, basically. In the morning and the evening, I went out for a walk with the dogs. And I would get mail from the mailbox, bring that home. But there was this problem. When I went to get the mail and bring it home, I had to ride a bicycle, and I had to ride on this street where there were always these police cars. So I would be riding my bicycle, and this car would be coming the other direction, and I would stop, and the police stopped, and this was 2 police officers, and I wasn't scared, because I wasn't doing anything wrong, but they came over, and they were talking to me, and I said, I'm deaf, you know, I can text back and forth to communicate, and the police were like, okay, so, you know, they texted, they said, you know, I said, you know, I'm new here, this is who I am, and they texted back, they said that someone saw you getting the mail from the mailbox, and they didn't know what was going on. So I had to explain, oh, that's my host mother's mailbox. She left me instructions to pick up the mail from her mailbox. I'm living with her right now. And the police said, oh, okay, we understand. We get it. Okay, you're deaf. So they decided to basically give me this contact information. So if I didn't feel comfortable, if any problems came up, I could let them know. And then they took off. But after that, my host mother came back from her vacation, and I talked about what had happened with the police stopping, and I didn't understand. And my host mother said, oh, it was because you were getting my mail from the mailbox, and she felt really bad. Because, of course, she understood in that area, people maybe don't like black people so much. And people weren't really comfortable. So I felt like it was better to move to Seattle. And Seattle, there's a big black community here. There's a really strong, vibrant community. There's a lot of diversity here. You know, there's a lot of integration, a lot of different people support each other. And at Seattle Central, there are a lot of black students. So I feel a lot more comfortable. I feel a lot safer here. Yeah, because that was just a really striking experience that I had.
So you transferred to Seattle Central, and what was your first quarter? Did you start in the fall or in the winter?
I started in fall.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you attend orientation during that quarter?
Yes. Really, the first orientation that I went to, I met a number of international students, and everyone seemed anxious and overwhelmed, and didn't know anyone. But there were ASL interpreters, so I could communicate, and that really helped. That was really helpful with Seattle Central. So I tried to make new friends and chat with people and kind of have fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, before we go too much further, I want to do a little getting to know you with more general questions so that the audience has an idea of the kind of person you are just on a day-to-day basis. So I'll give you 2 choices. You tell us which you prefer. So the first question is coffee or tea?
I like coffee.
I knew he was going to say coffee because I got him some coffee before we started. So cheers. Yeah, very nice. All right. Mountains or beach?
I love the beach. One place that I've gone a couple times, so I've gone to California, I've gone to the Oregon coast.
Oh.
Here in Seattle, yeah.
Did you say California?
Yep.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Where in California?
So San Diego, I believe.
Lovely. I like San Diego.
Oh, yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. Yeah, I went with a friend. And he asked, what do you prefer? And I said, oh, I love water so much. He said, oh, let's go here. And we toured around, and then the 2 of us went out and got food together. Yeah.
Did you drive to California?
No. We took a plane.
You took the plane. Okay, very good. All right. Early bird or night owl?
I think I prefer early mornings.
Really? Most students like to stay up late and study, but you get up early.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Me too. Same. Yeah. Books or movies?
Oh, that's a hard one. It's hard to tell you. Pick one between the two, but I do love movies.
Yeah.
With closed captions, of course.
Of course.
That's really, really important. That helps deaf people be able to watch movies, to be able to read the subtitles with closed captions, to be able to learn, to be able to read. So to have that English is really beneficial. Really helps people with their writing skills as well.
So have you been to the movie theater or only watch movies at home?
Yeah, I did go to the movie theater. But I do tend to watch, I do both. I watch at home and go to the movie theater.
Yeah. I love movies. Okay.
Nice.
Texting or phone calls? This seems like a silly question, but I'm guessing texting?
Yeah. I definitely text. But maybe, if you talk about phone calls, it's like, great, how would I communicate on a phone call if I'm deaf?
Right.
But, there's new technology that helps, right? So you have
TTY?
like VRI, video remote interpreting.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I don't know about TTY. I haven't used that before.
Really?
But I do use different kinds of technology. So video remote interpreting, VRI, VRS, video remote services. So those are ways that you can communicate, and those make phone calls more accessible for deaf and hard of hearing people, so that we can make phone calls, we can communicate with hearing people. So if you want to schedule a meeting or something like that, you can have meetings on video phone, and that really helps deaf people. So if you're just making phone calls that are based entirely on sound, right, that's not going to work for deaf people, right? We can't even hear the ringing of the phone.
Sure.
But if you contact someone, if you say, oh, we need to set up an appointment or set up a way to communicate, then we can do that.
Okay, cats or dogs?
Oh, between those two.
Do you have a cat or a dog?
I think dogs.
Dogs.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
dogs.
All right. I like cats, but I like both.
Yeah. I have pets in Cameroon.
Oh.
But, we wouldn't necessarily call them pets. The dogs kind of live outside. They don't come inside the house.
Mm-hmm.
But here, I do actually have, my friend has a dog. So.
Cool. Okay, city or country?
Yeah, I think I prefer the country.
Because
Because I grew up in the country.
Sure. Yeah, me too. Small town. Okay. Adventure or chill at home? These are hard.
I like going out. I like going out.
All right. Cool. Summer or winter?
Summer.
Really? It's very hot.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love heat. I feel more comfortable in the hot, yeah.
Okay. So it's very hot in Cameroon. How was your adjustment to the weather in Seattle? Because it's a little cooler here.
Yeah. Yeah. So Cameroon has basically 2 seasons. It has the rainy season and the hot season.
Yes.
And I don't like the rainy season. You know, I feel sick. It feels like, you know, it's too cold. You get a cough. But when it's hot, you know, you can work outside, you grow food, you can play soccer. So the hot season's good.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Cooking at home or eating out?
Both. Both.
Do you cook?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I cook.
So when I'm in Nigeria or Ghana, I eat a lot of jollof rice. Does Cameroon have its own version of jollof rice?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I do cook jollof rice. Yeah. But I think there are some similarities in African food in different countries, but then there are also differences from country to country. My favorite food is actually Mexican food. I think Mexican food is delicious.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe you'll go to Mexico?
Yeah, I would love to.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Cool. All right, well, that gives you some insight into some of the day-to-day kinds of things that he's into, so cool. Well, I'm going to continue by asking you a little bit about your background. When you were in Cameroon, you said that you went to a deaf school. How does the school system there differ from what you've experienced in the United States so far?
Well, here in the US, it's really great. There are ASL interpreting agencies, there's a lot of support for deaf students, for what deaf students need, for accessibility, if people want to go to school, if people want to work jobs, you can get interpreters for those things. You can have interpreters for meetings, you know, when there are deaf events, they'll bring in interpreters. But in Cameroon, in the schools, there are no interpreters. So before I went to the deaf school, before I was a student there, you know, I went to, of course, the school for the deaf in my hometown, but I went also to just a general school, and I asked if there was any interpreters, and I asked, well, how am I supposed to communicate? And they said, well, no. And so I would have another student just write notes and help me during class while the teacher was talking, because I couldn't hear anything the teacher was saying, so it was very hard to understand.
So, in the United States, we use ASL, American Sign Language. What are they using in your region where you live, so that our audience understands?
So Cameroonian Sign Language is Cameroonian Sign Language. Yeah. So.
And I've read in preparation for this interview that there are some specific differences from even city to city or region to region. Does that make it difficult for you when you communicate with other deaf people from the country?
No. Yeah, I don't think it would be hard for me to understand, right? There are differences in language, and that can sometimes be a challenge. But Cameroon has 10 regions. And it has 2 official languages, French and English. So deaf people who communicate in sign language might also use LSF, French Sign Language, depending on where they are, so where those deaf people live. If they live in one of the 8 regions that has French as the official language, they might use French Sign Language. But if they live in one of the 2 regions that has English, then they might use ASL and Cameroonian Sign Language and some combination of those to communicate. So it just depends on where you're from as well.
So the English-speaking regions must border Nigeria?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Yeah, Cameroon is very close to Nigeria.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like America and Canada, right? There are some places where, you're close to the border. And yeah, so Cameroon and Nigeria have a similar kind of shared culture because they're close to each other.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And do you read and write in French?
Yeah. Yeah, I read and write in French and English both. Yeah, because the deaf students at the deaf school have to pass a test in French. I actually got an award for that. Some of the deaf students really don't like the French because it can be really hard for them to learn to read and write French.
So when you come to the United States and you need an interpreter, do you have to request the interpreter all the time, or do they just appear? How does it work? So if we had other deaf students come to Seattle colleges, how would it work for them?
Do you mean, how do you get an interpreter at Seattle Central?
Yes, for example, if you have classes on Monday and Wednesday, and do you just make a schedule and interpreters know to come? Do you have to request an interpreter each time? I have no idea how this works.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I understand what you're asking now. So there's the ARC, the Accessibility Resource Center.
Yes. And they're
Yeah,
great.
so that's, for accommodations, that sort of thing. So it's their responsibility to support people with disabilities and to provide ASL interpreters, etc. So they'll schedule when deaf students have classes or have meetings. The Accessibility Resource Center is in communication with the deaf student. They'll email and they'll say, we have 2 interpreters scheduled for you. Here are the interpreters' names. And that's really great. That feels a lot more supportive for deaf students. That there's respect of deaf people, that deaf people are encouraged to have and access their rights. That's been very, very impressive. And they work very hard, so I really love that here.
That's amazing. So when you decided to come to the United States, did you only apply to the United States, or did you also apply to Canada, Australia, or did you always know, I want to go to the United States?
I really wanted to come to the United States because my friend who worked in Cameroon at the deaf school was a Peace Corps volunteer who helped the deaf students in that deaf school in my hometown. And he taught in English class and told me that I was like a very smart, very dedicated, hard-working deaf student, and if I paid attention and I worked hard and did a good job with writing, that he really recommended that I continue my studies, and I was really struck by that. And then he was sent home because he wasn't paid enough. And then after that, I think 2 years later, he came back to America, but we kept in contact. And so he actually helped bring me here. So it's really hard in Cameroon to get accessibility for deaf and hard of hearing people. There really aren't interpreters. And so that was a big challenge, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to come here.
Did you, when you apply to a community college like Seattle colleges, one of the pieces of the application is to provide proof of English proficiency. So how does that work for a deaf student? There is not necessarily a spoken piece, but do you just do the reading and writing? How does that work?
Yeah. So I took an English exam in Cameroon called the TOEFL.
Yes.
So I took that exam, and that exam process is really tough. My friend volunteered to help me and then sent that off to ETS, right? And they're the ones who administer the test. And then I got that email confirmation, and they said, you're ready for the test. But then they were asking me about the vocal part of it, the speaking part of it. And I said, I'm deaf. I can't hear.
Right.
So I ended up deciding to cancel that because, you know, it's a lot of money and you're just losing money to do this test that you can't do. But my friend didn't give up. They really wanted to support me. So they contacted another place, ETS Disability Services, and they understood the needs of deaf people better. You know, the listening and speaking parts were eliminated, and it was just the reading and writing parts of the test. So I went to the American Center in Yaoundé, and there they had someone who was proctoring the exam. And so you needed to bring a copy of your confirmation and your ID, your passport, and certification that you were deaf. And I asked them if they had interpreters, and they said no interpreters. So I wasn't sure how I was going to communicate during the exam with the person who was proctoring, but I just wrote back and forth with them. Yeah.
That's really interesting. So you applied to Pacific using those scores.
Yes.
And then did you take English while you were at Pacific? Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then that English grade transferred to Seattle colleges.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Were there any problems with transferring your credits from Pacific to our school?
No, it all worked out pretty seamlessly. Yeah. When I first arrived to Pacific College, there was a really good advisor there who recommended that I take the exam again at Pacific College. And, you know, I had just gotten there. I think I'd gotten to America, you know, maybe 4 days before. I'd been really busy. I came in and I took the exam again, and I felt like I wasn't ready. I felt like I was going to be sick. I had to go to the bathroom and kind of go back and forth between the exam room and the bathroom. I just felt sick. I started throwing up.
Oh, no.
So, you know, my advisor said, you know what, let's hold on this. So they recommended that I take an English class and get some practice and do some more learning. So I just went ahead and did that class. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was a long journey to get here. I think I had jet lag, and I think that's why I was feeling sick and I started throwing up. Yeah.
So when you first thought of transferring to Seattle colleges, did you speak with someone like, I am responsible for Cameroon in my region? Did we speak before you arrived here, or did you just apply and were confident that there would be services in place for you?
So I didn't know about Seattle Central when I was at Pacific College. I had no idea. But my family and there was an ASL interpreter that said, you know, this is a really good match for deaf students, this college. So they recommended that I check out Seattle Central, and I had no idea. I didn't know about Seattle Central, but I looked it up. I thought, oh, that's interesting. There's a lot more accessibility. There's a lot more access to information for deaf students and programs. So, yeah, I heard about that, and I thought that was interesting. So then I went ahead and applied to Seattle Central and got in.
Yes. I have been contacted by other students that have a need to use the Accessibility Resource Center. Can you tell me about your interaction with the Accessibility Resource Center? Like, what services do they offer all different types of students?
Yeah, so the Accessibility Resource Center offers support and resources. They offer ASL interpreters. Also, if you need to have a meeting, you can contact them. You can fill out forms to request interpreters for meetings or for events, for meetings with advisors. Like this meeting, this podcast, right? You need to get in contact with the Accessibility Resource Center for interpreters.
Thank you.
Yeah. When teachers are having meetings on Zoom or class sessions on Zoom, or, you know, sometimes if I was going to be sick or I was going to miss a meeting and I couldn't go to the Zoom meeting, I could actually tell them that I still wanted interpreters on that meeting, because if I was going to be absent, it meant that when that meeting finished, it would get saved and uploaded for people to review, and there would be interpreters on it.
Gotcha. All right. Wow. So you came here and you began. What were some of the first classes that you took, and what was your experience with those teachers? Were they used to having a deaf and hard of hearing student in their classroom, or were you the first time they had encountered this?
Yeah, it's tough to even remember. I'm trying to think, like, which were the classes, which were the first classes, what happened with those teachers. I do remember one, my favorite teacher was a political science teacher, who was really supportive. The first time that I came to Seattle Central, I think the first day I took this class, yeah.
Do you want to shout out to that teacher?
Yeah, so his name is Carl Livingston.
Shout out to Carl Livingston.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so can you tell me what you do for housing? Many students that come to Seattle have different choices available to them. What have you decided to do for yourself?
Yeah, so I live in South Seattle.
Oh.
In Leshai. And I live with host parents, but I actually live in kind of the backyard cottage.
Oh.
So there's a small house in the backyard. And then my host parents are really wonderful. They're really supportive. You know, they bought me a new bicycle. You know, they've given me rides around. They help me navigate transportation, the bus or the train. So, yeah, I really love biking around, though.
Does your host family sign?
A little bit. A little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're still learning, so they sign a little bit.
So how did you find them?
So my friend who volunteered, who was in the Peace Corps, It's actually his aunt.
Oh, gotcha. Well, that's great. That's nice. Have you seen the Peace Corps volunteer in the United States since you've been here?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we've met up.
He lives in Seattle?
Yep.
Ah!
Yeah, yeah, he's from the U.S. Yep.
That's so great. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. I'm curious about your visa interview. Every international student that comes to the United States to study must go to the embassy for a visa interview. That must have been an interesting experience. Did the embassy provide interpreters for you? Was it all done by writing? How did that work?
Yeah. Yeah, so my friend who volunteered in the school in Cameroon, who was in the Peace Corps, actually helped me apply for the visa. And I got accepted by the college, and so when I went to that visa application process, of course it was tough for me. I reached out to them, I reached out to the embassy, and I asked if they had interpreters, and they said, no, we don't have any interpreters. And I was like, well, I'm deaf, so I need a way to be able to communicate. You have to provide interpreters. If there are no interpreters, it's really tough. So when I went to the interview for the visa, they actually turned me down 2 times because we couldn't communicate, because there was no way to communicate. So then I actually brought my own interpreter, but, you know, they weren't really qualified. They weren't, you know, their signing wasn't so great. So it was really, really hard to communicate. That was a huge problem. So I got turned down for the visa 2 times, either 2 or 3 times. But I was really persistent. I kept going. You know, I was really upset, of course. I was angry, but I kept going. I persisted. I kept fighting. And then finally I got the visa as a student.
But each time you go for a visa interview, you have to pay over and over again, and it's expensive.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, Cameroon does not respect deaf rights. They were not providing interpreters. They weren't providing accessibility. So yeah, that was a lot of money. You're right, absolutely. Yeah.
So when you finally were granted your visa, was it a different visa officer, or was it the same people and they just started to understand? I mean, why do you think they rejected you 3 times only to give you the visa on that 4th try? What happened?
Well, I think because the interpreter that I had wasn't qualified, it was very confusing, there were miscommunications. I think that's why I got turned down initially.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the last time when you succeeded, what made the difference, do you think?
Well, I tried to find another interpreter. I tried to find a good enough interpreter, and I brought someone, and I went to a different interview, and it was a little bit more conversational. I was really careful in my answers. I tried to be really concise, and I felt more confident that I was understanding, and that's when I got the visa. Yeah.
That's good. Wow. So you must have been very excited.
Oh, absolutely. I was thrilled. I was so excited. I told my family, and everyone was so excited, and everyone was congratulating me. I was crying, because I'd been turned down 3 times already. I'd gone through so much. And, I was trying to, I didn't want to feel pressured. I didn't want to, so it was really hard to go through that process. But yeah, I persevered and I kept going.
You understand that many students in the region, throughout Africa, have a low success rate when it comes to getting a visa. So the fact that you persevered, got your visa, that's amazing. That's great. Very happy for you.
Yeah, and I think the embassy in Cameroon doesn't provide interpreters for deaf people who are traveling for different countries. I think, that's really not respecting of deaf rights and disability rights.
If I had to guess, I would say most embassies throughout the world probably don't have the same services either. I think it's probably common, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But don't let that stop you. Because
Absolutely.
it can be done.
Yeah. I'm really proud.
Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
very proud of myself as a deaf person.
Absolutely. It's awesome. So you were the speaker at commencement. How did they decide that you were going to be the speaker?
So I'm not sure exactly. So my friend here and a teacher at Seattle Central had recommended, they'd said, oh, you should be a graduation speaker. And I thought about that, and I felt a little bit awkward. I wasn't sure I was ready, but I thought, okay, I'll just go ahead and try. So I filled out the application form to be a graduation speaker, and I explained why they should pick me. I wanted to try to, show this big audience of people that deaf people can do anything hearing people can do.
Yeah. Well, I watched your movie, your film on the big screen, and it was great, amazing. We can put the link to the speech on the details of the podcast, so go check it out. It's really amazing. Yeah, so congratulations. Were you nervous?
Sometimes, but also really excited. Yeah. I was excited to give the speech.
Yeah, there were so many people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, congratulations. That's really great. So now that you've graduated, what's next? Where are you going to transfer to? Are you going to do OPT?
Yeah, so I'm planning to transfer to university, but I don't have enough money right now to cover those costs of universities. Universities, international tuition is really high. It's like, $3,500, $4,000 that you're paying in tuition kind of in an ongoing way, so yeah.
Have you gone to our transfer fairs where many universities come together, they set up tables, and you can go and speak to them about their programs and what they have to offer? The reason I ask is because we had a student from Tunisia who was able to connect with a recruiter from the University of Southern Mississippi. And they gave her a very generous scholarship where she basically had no expenses when she went there for her last 2 years of university work.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen those yet. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about when and where those events are.
Mm-hmm.
I've been really focused on taking classes and doing my homework, and I think I didn't see some of those things. Yeah.
Well, after the podcast, we will talk, and I can put you in contact with some of these recruiters. But the audience should know that we have transfer fairs every fall and in the winter. We have 40 or 50 universities who come, set up tables. You can get information from them, ask them lots of questions. they are very motivated to attract you as an international student, especially if you are a high achieving student like you. They would be thrilled to have you, and they will often offer very generous scholarships. So we'll talk.
Thank you. And I hope they'll also provide ASL interpreters.
Of course.
So I think the ARC probably does that as well,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Some people, in order to pay for school, they work on campus. I'm wondering, did you have a job on campus?
Yeah, so I work teaching ASL classes, so I earned some money doing that, a small amount. But I also volunteered on a farm, doing client services and support for deaf organizations to promote access to communication, etc.
Cool. What about scholarships? Seattle Colleges offers many different scholarships. Did you apply for any of the scholarships?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And did you receive?
Yeah, I applied for scholarships. Yes, and I did get scholarships.
That's great. What about Project Baldwin? Did you participate with Project Baldwin?
Yes. Yeah, I think I went to one meeting that I was involved in, one event. I learned a lot. It was really great. It's a great program. Yeah, I was excited to be involved.
Yeah. Sometimes Project Baldwin offers some financial support to students of color, and I wondered if you were able to get some financial help from them as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
All right, great. So have you found, you said that you cook at home, but you also go out sometimes. Have you found any good Cameroonian restaurants in the Seattle area?
No. I haven't really found Cameroonian food in Seattle, but there are so many different kinds of restaurants. You know, there's great Chinese food, there's great Mexican food, there's great Nigerian food.
True. Ethiopian food.
Yeah, Ethiopian food. Yeah, so. But my favorite, the thing I think is the most delicious, is Mexican food.
All right, now we have to talk about the World Cup a little bit. Seattle was a host city for. Did you go to a game?
No. I went to watch. You know, I went to like watch parties with the big screen with my friend.
Yeah.
In, you know, the Pioneer Square area.
Yes.
And then I went to another place, Pacific Place. So we watched there. So we watched some games in those places. They were really fun.
Okay, we are now in the quarterfinals. Who are you rooting for? Who do you want to see go all the way and win?
I'm a really big supporter of Spain and Argentina because they have players from Barcelona.
Oh, yes.
And they're great players. They're just really quality players. So I'm hoping that Spain and Argentina actually play each other in the finals. That's my hope.
Okay. I'm hoping that it's Belgium and Norway or England. My team is Belgium. So.
Oh, okay.
We'll see.
Cool. So why? Oh, yeah. So if Spain and Argentina meet in the finals, you know, I really want to see Messi. I want to see him play Yano. Because he's like he's a baby, right? And now, he's become one of the top players. Mm-hmm. So, I think I really want to see that meeting, right? I want to see Messi meet him.
All right.
So, that's my hope.
We'll see what happens. All right, well, cool. So, when you are just out of class and not studying, what do you do for fun? You play soccer yourself? You play sports? What do you do?
Yeah, so what I do for fun, I play soccer, I like to ride my bike, I like to ride my bike with friends. I've been learning bike polo, like it's it's almost like on horses.
What?
When you play polo on horses, except it's on a bike, that's really hard.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to learn that.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, I go for walks with the dog. That's really fun. I hang out with friends. Especially here, like on Capitol Hill,
right. Are most of your friends international students, or have you met and become friends with domestic students as well?
Well, I don't know all of their names, but I know a lot of international students that I'm friends with. A lot of American students too that I socialize with, that I enjoy chatting with and hanging out with. So sometimes people will invite me to go to a particular event with them, and I'll go. Yeah.
Many Americans don't know where Cameroon is. Do you find that they're interested? Do they ask you questions? Do you think they're intimidated because they have to work through a sign language interpreter, or do they just talk to you as normal? How's been your reception?
Yeah, so the very first class that I took, I was really nervous. Because, my friends were also nervous because they didn't know anyone in the class. So we were having the same experience, but I think over time, I felt like I was really accepted and, I got to be friends with people. One international student would write news back and forth. Actually, someone asked me if they could interview me for a Seattle Central newspaper to ask about me, to ask about my experience. How did I come here? What was my experience of traveling here like? So I shared my experience with them. So, I told them about, going to the gates at the airport and the deaf experience of flying and my experience of growing up and all of that. So, and we kind of became more friends over time. And I have deaf friends here in Seattle.
Oh, of course.
So, I went to deaf coffee night events and I chatted with people and met people there. So, sometimes it would be ASL students who wanted to practice conversation using ASL. And they would ask me, where is Cameroon? They would ask me about it, and I would explain. And, that was really fun. They enjoyed that. They wanted to know. And they were like, oh, you signed ASL. You're from Cameroon. Wait, they use ASL in Cameroon? And I said, well, we use a mix. And they said, oh, that's cool. That's really beautiful.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
I talked with one of your colleague students from the drama class today. Apparently you took a drama class. What was that experience like? Are you an actor?
Yeah, I took that drama class. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And how did you do the class? I mean, what did they have you doing in the class?
Yeah, I don't know how to explain it. The drama class was because it was, something I needed to do for the AA, and I also thought a drama class would be fun.
Yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm. But did you have to act?
Yeah,
A little bit.
Sometimes. Yeah, and I wanted that experience of standing up in front of a room and acting. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What's been your most difficult class from a subject point of view?
I think
Math.
Math.
Many students say statistics is their worst. That's the hard class, but no.
No, that's fine. Statistics is fine for me.
Okay.
I kind of prefer that, but math. There's so many different kinds of math. There's so many different topics within it. It's really tough to understand all the different details. I think statistics is a little easier for me, actually.
That's cool. I like that. Yeah. So after you finish your bachelor's degree, what are your long-term plans? What do you want to do with all this education you've received when you return to Cameroon, or are you going to a different part of the world, or what are your plans in the long term?
What I'd like to do, I'd like to stay here in the U.S., work and save money, and do work that can support deaf people in my home country. There really isn't enough money, there isn't enough support or education for deaf people in my home country. So I want to go to meetings and talk about how to support deaf children and their access to education and really raise them up. That's what I'd like to do. Cameroon still has some war happening between the French and English. There's a lot of conflict. There's fighting. The French want to get rid of the English system. They want everything to be French and focus more on French. And so they're not really kind of coordinating between the two.
I'm thinking that the issues you experience with the community in Cameroon is probably similar in most of the countries in sub-Saharan Africa. Would you approach helping the deaf community on a more regional basis, or do you really just want to focus on Cameroon?
No, yeah. I think in many places in Africa, there are places where there aren't even schools for deaf students yet. And no, I don't want to just focus on Cameroon. It's not, I'm from Cameroon, that's where I grew up, was born, so that's more important than other places in Africa. No, not at all. I want to work with deaf people in different places in Africa. I want to work in partnership and collaboration to discuss what the needs are, what support is needed, where people need schools, where people need more access or support, where people need to develop new skills.
Well, you seem like such a great ambassador for the things you believe in, so I wish you a lot of luck in that endeavor. So we are getting near the end of the show, so I need to wrap this up. We usually do something called trivia time. I'm going to ask you 5 questions. It's just for fun. If you miss one of the questions, it's not a big deal. But if you get any questions wrong, you'll probably cry yourself to sleep tonight. All right? So the first question is, we are in the state of Washington, and like most states, we have a capital in the state of Washington. Do you know the name of the capital city in the state of Washington?
Yes, Olympia.
1 for 1. Nice job. Question number 2. We are a country that is sandwiched between 2 other countries. Can you name one of the 2 other countries?
Like Canada? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, sir. Nice job. Okay, question number 3. Seattle is known for its outdoors lifestyle. We are surrounded by 3 national parks. Can you name one of the national parks?
I'm not sure. But I think Gasworks? That's one of the parks? Is that what you're talking about?
Gasworks is a city park. I'm talking about a national park. For example, Yellowstone is a national park in the United States. We have 3 in the state of Washington. For example, there's a big mountain. There's a big mountain off to the south. Would you know one of those parks?
Oh, yeah. That's Mount Rainier.
Yes! Mount Rainier!
Yeah.
Nice job. All right.
Yep. Yeah, I think, yep, go ahead.
All right, question number 4. You have to maintain your visa status as an international student. How many credits do you need to take each quarter in order to maintain your visa status?
12?
Yes.
Yep, 12 credits.
All right, final question. What was the last movie you saw?
The last movie I saw, I'm not sure which movie was the last one I saw.
Okay, well maybe what is a television series you're watching currently on, if you watch television? Mm-hmm. Or maybe one of your favorite films.
Oh, okay.
It's a little easier.
Yeah. Avengers.
Ah, yeah. Superheroes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I love superheroes.
Very good.
Yeah, all of that. Spider-Man, Superman, all that.
Well, you got 5 for 5, so congratulations. You're on our Wall of Fame for the trivia.
Thank you.
Nice
Thank you.
job. All right, well, we're near the end of our podcast. I usually ask 2 final things. I ask all of our international student guests if they will say a few words, or in your case, sign a few words in your first language, which in your case would be sign language. So you can say 15, 20 seconds saying hello to your family or friends back home, or you can offer words of encouragement, or you can do both, whatever. But this may be the first time people in our audience have seen your version of sign language.
Yeah, so I would say, my advice to students, friends, family is to really encourage deaf students to go to school, especially schools like the school I went to, the School for the Deaf, where they're learning to read and write. If they want to prepare to come somewhere like Seattle Central, where they have more access, where they have interpretation, even if you get turned down for a visa, don't worry about it. Never give up. Continue to stand up and stay strong and believe that you will succeed.
Okay, I love that advice, and that was my second question. But my first question is for you to sign in your first language. ASL is not your first sign language, yeah? So can you please use the sign you would use in Africa so people can see that version of sign?
Oh.
So your interpreters may not be able to interpret for your version of sign language, but that's okay. We just want to see what you would do if you were back home. Guys, thank you so much for your time today. Off camera are great interpreters. I want to thank your interpreters for being here as well. We are so glad that you've had the support of so many great people throughout your educational journey. Appreciate your time. I wish you the best of luck in your next stage. I think it's going to be amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this interview. Yeah.
Of course. And thank you guys for joining us today. We're here every Wednesday on Conversations With. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Come back. We have good information every week. We want to make sure that you're getting good information in a fun way. Thanks again. We're going to take off now. We're going to talk a little bit of scholarship stuff off camera. So thank you guys. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Conversations With is painstakingly crafted for you by the Seattle College's International Programs Department and supported by the lovely folks here on our campus. This show is produced and edited by me, Evan Franulovich. We welcome your emails and questions about coming to Seattle Colleges. Please reach out to us via our website or just give us a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts, as this helps others discover the show. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, or YouTube at Seattle Colleges INTL. That's Seattle Colleges INTL. And be sure to check out all of the shows here on Conversations With. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.